You're not that bitch or nothing, but
Yeah.
you still ate that little one, thing. You ate that one thing.
Hi my loves, how has your 2023 BL watching been so far? Mine's going pretty well, not gonna lie. I've been watching so many good series recently I'm actually surprised. Particularly because some of the best ones have been GMMTV's work. Last year, their shows were a little bit of a letdown for me. The only BLs they put out that I thoroughly enjoyed were Not Me and vice versa. Everything else just didn't vibe with me personally. But these new ones, they're something. I mean, for the most part. I don't want to give this company praise because let's be honest, they don't deserve it. But aspects of these shows have been objectively very good, and other parts have been a choice. So I want to talk about all that today. I know some of these reviews are late. I wanted to make a ranking/review of Our Sky 2 once they are all out, but it didn't feel right to do that without documenting my thoughts on their original series first. My opinions on the older Our Sky shows are on my channel somewhere, but I never got a chance to talk about the newer ones. I want to leave my opinions on them here so we can move on smoothly. So this is basically a mid-year GMMTV check-in. Let's talk about this year's GMMTV BL so far. So the first one I watched was My School President, the show that made me believe in love again. I really didn't think I was going to like this as much as I did. I definitely didn't go into it with the negativity I saw people had though. I am not bothered by high school BLs at all. The most common thing that was said before this aired was because it's high school kids, it will be basic and boring, and people were not interested since it's school. Thai BL needs to give that concept up, etc. I think any story about healthy, happy queer youth is very important and very much needed. A high school setting alone wouldn't put me off watching a series. I still enjoy that. I just didn't expect it to do what it did to me. I didn't think I would be this in love and obsessed with it. My first introduction to My School President was the official trailer the day it dropped, and I thought it was really cute and it got me excited for the series to start. But I know some people's low expectations came from that abomination of a pilot trailer, so I kind of get it. Now with pilot trailers, I try not to get too invested in them, since they rarely end up being accurate to what the series is anyway. But I think I somehow didn't see the My School President one before the official trailer came out. The only thing I knew about MSP was that little teaser thing in Bad Buddy. I remember watching reactions to episode 10 back in 2021 and people being like, oh, they're GMMTV's new pairing. They're gonna be in My School President. But I don't think I ever went and watched the pilot trailer back then, and thank God for that. I don't blame people that had negative first impressions about this series if they were basing their opinion on that alone. If you go watch that pilot trailer now, knowing what My School President turned out to be, that trailer is so bad. Thankfully, so much of it was reworked and we got the beautiful masterpiece of a story that we did. Even the official trailer, although being heaps better, doesn't do the series justice. No trailer, edit, or review would do My School President justice. You just have to watch it for yourself. I want a time machine just to go back to every Friday. I cannot explain the serotonin boost and just the experience I had watching every episode for the first time. It was incredible. I sound ridiculous but it was just so amazing. It really was an era. My School President Fridays were so much fun. I need to give praise for the characters and how well written they are. I would live in this show if I could. I want to live in this universe. I need Shinzilla to be my best friends. I love everyone in this show so damn much. All the characters are so well developed. They all have their own stories. That is so rare. Most side characters are so underused. But I was pleasantly surprised by how much of an ensemble piece this actually is. I thought a lot of the focus would be on Tin and Gun, and it is, of course. But everyone else gets their time to shine. All the other characters feel like people. They aren't just there to get Tin and Gun together. I absolutely fell in love with everyone. The student council, Shinzilla, the parents. They were able to give individual characters their own episodes and story arcs while keeping Tin and Gun as the main leads. And nothing felt forced or out of place. Everything flowed so well. Nothing was brought up and forgotten about like it typically would be. Like Sound's wrist pain. From when it was introduced till the end it is brought up. It wasn't just used for a cute Soundwin moment in episode 8, Gun's mom's health. It wasn't just a plot device to get Tin and Gun closer. It was built up and well fleshed out. It was satisfying. I mean not for her or Gun, but for the viewer, it was a real plot that had substance and meaning. Yo, in episode 7 lying about doing cover dances, and that leads into the performance of that episode. The ballroom dance midterm in gym class being introduced in episode 1, and it's continually brought up until it finally happens in episode 3. The callback to the looking into your eyes scene in the finale. The use of the Scrabble boards. The entirety of episode 6. I can write a whole essay on that episode alone. We will talk about it more later, just wait. Gun writing song titles for lyric inspiration, then Tin sings a song full of love songs. Even the damn Texas Chicken sponsorship being in episode 1, 6 and 12. The beginning, middle and end. Tin using it to give a note to Gun in episode 1. And then Gun uses it to give Tin a note in episode 12. Every little detail in My School President is purposeful, sometimes silly, sometimes goofy and ridiculous. But you can tell there was so much care and attention put into writing this show. These are such simple things you would expect every series to do, but it is so rare to see consistent storytelling in these shows. The comedy was also done so well. There was just enough for it to actually be funny and not cringe. The writers did a great job at making the comedy appealing to both Thai and international viewers. They did a handful of jokes that were clearly aimed at a Thai audience, like Gun dressing as the meme of Chachit at the debate, or the join the governor reference. But the snappy editing, comedic timing of the actors, and other jokes were so funny to everyone watching. The writing is full of humor, but also beautiful when it needs to be, as expected of the vice versa screenwriting team. I have to make everything about vice versa. That's just who I am, okay? The type of BLs I obsess over are the ones where you know it's real romance. Some couples you love by the end, and you think they're cute together. But the ones that become my all-time faves are those couples where after you finish the series, you're like, holy shit, I just watched two soulmates. That is who Tin Gun are, and they remind me of the ultimate soulmates. Poontale. Forget the bad buddy about youth Heartstopper and Together comparisons. This reminds me of vice versa. Tin Gun are Poontale's nephews. I am one of the biggest vice versa fans. If you saw my last video, you saw me rant about how much I love it. I won't repeat myself. Plot-wise the shows are nothing alike, obviously, but they have the same screenwriters, and I can tell, the writing in both Vice Versa and My School President is so good. Tin Gun and Poontale have the most healthy, wholesome, unconditional beautiful love. There are only a handful of BL couples that I think are just in love, the definition of romance. Poontale and Tin Gun are the main ones for me. It's hard to pick a favorite episode, because every one is perfect. Any answer would be valid. 1 to 12. All 4 parts of every single one. But I do have a number 1 favorite. Episode 8. My top 3 is 3, 6 and 8. Every episode has such a clear theme and vision, but those ones just stand out to me the most. Episode 3 being about reality versus dreams. Tin realizing just how much he likes Gun. How he fell even harder after finally spending real time with him. The turning point for Gun and his feelings. The dance scene. Thank you Tin for your incredibly detailed imagination. Coming closer changed me as a person. The only thing wrong with this episode is sound not being in it yet. That is the only flaw of 1 to 3. Episode 6 is genius. Wait guys, let's gossip for a second. I saw a reactor say episode 6 was boring because it was just about making an MV. Sorry, but how do you not see the vision? I know I'm over analytical sometimes, but episode 6 is so much more than that. The way they used just being friendly in its entirety to create an episode, the music video, the lyrics and how it all relates to the characters, the symbolism of the just friends line that they took from the original MV. Throughout the episode, they basically use objects and the background to create a line between the characters as they interact. It really drives the theme of the episode home, sprinkling the lyrics of just being friendly into the actual dialogue of the episode too. It's so genius. The writers and directors deserve all the praise in the world. Then episode 8, my favorite episode. What is there to say about this one? It is so warm. I can't think of a better word to describe how I feel watching it. Maybe it's because almost the whole thing takes place at night, and I'm such a night person. But this is the most comforting episode for me. The conversations that Tin and Gun have here are so well done. That is one of, if not my favorite thing about Tin Gun. They actually talk to each other. They have real unfiltered chemistry. They understand each other so well. Episode 8 just highlights it perfectly. Also need to give a shout out to episode 9, and how the series handled the dynamic of Sound and Win's relationship. I am not an enemies to lovers person. I loved the trope when I was younger, but the older I get the more it bothers me. When done well it can be great, but I rarely see it done well. Sound and Win did it though. They are the exception. There isn't anything I hated, just a few things I would have done differently if I was in charge. I wanted more pour. We got more than I expected, so I'm grateful, but I think it would have been nice if they sprinkled more of them in the earlier episodes, and if they showed us how their crushes developed. It's fun making my own headcanons, but I would have liked something more official for them in the show, you know? I didn't like the outing of Tin Gun and the way it was handled. They glossed over how inappropriate the shippers taking and spreading photos of them was. I kinda wanted a bee from Fish Upon the Sky moment.
สิ่งที่น้องทำพี่ไม่โอเคนะสิ่งที่น้องโพสสิ่งที่น้องเม้นน้องมโนไปหมดแล้วมันไม่ใช่ความจริงกูโดนคุกคามนะมึงรู้ไหมการที่มึงทำแบบนี้มันเท่ากับมึงปล่อยให้กูโดนคุกคามไปเรื่อยๆนะเว้ยแล้วกูรู้สึกยังไงกูรู้สึกไม่ปลอดภัย
I really didn't want an outing plot. It wasn't done horribly, but I would have preferred Tin and Gun telling people themselves when they were ready, and I could have done without the homophobic teachers. I just didn't care for that being the final conflict. I don't know how I've gotten this far into the My School President section and haven't mentioned the music. The music is incredible. I hate when BLs make characters sing for no reason, but this series revolves around music, so it makes sense, and the actors can actually sing. And the songs themselves are great, but the reason I'm bringing this up in the things I didn't like part is a pet peeve I've always had about shows and movies involving music. I wish more of the performance scenes were live. I know that is probably really difficult to do. There is a reason most musical shows and movies don't do live performances, but when it's live, it's much better to me. My favorite performance from MSP is Tin singing Hook. The raw vocals add so much to the scene. The performances can look a little awkward with the lip syncing and fake instrument playing. Although I have to say, the actors actually learning how to play the instruments did help it look a little better. There are a few scenes where you can tell they are miming the correct chords, but in other scenes, the way it is shot and edited looks too fake and it's distracting. But as I said, this is not a problem exclusive to MSP. It's most TV show and movie performances, so it's not a huge problem. Just personal preference. I know I praised the series for their attention to detail. They did a great job with details in the storytelling, but one thing they didn't care enough about was continuity between shots. Because of the choppy editing style, there are a lot of moments where the characters' actions don't match up when they cut from one clip to another. Again, not an issue specific to MSP. So many shows do this, but continuity stuff always bothers me a little. There should have been more of the sapphics. It's crazy how much they mean to me considering they had 5 seconds of screen time. Why does one of them not have a name? 4. We love you. Can you tell the audience your girlfriend's name? The fugly counselor has a name. Nook, who's only in one episode, got a name, but she didn't? I can't believe they did that to us. Writers, I gave you a lot of deserved praise, but I will never forgive you for making her nameless. That's about it. The few negatives about MSP do not come close to the amount of positives. I could keep going on about the things I loved forever, like the way they use the instrumentals of the next episode's song in the preview. It's too good. Okay, let me wrap this section up. I think I made my thoughts on My School President pretty clear. This show just understood my taste in romance. 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10. I cannot rave about it enough. It was everything I needed and everything I wanted. I think My School President is going to stick with me for a very long time. It is just so special. This series made me so happy, and I'm always searching for that feeling. The second series I watched was Never Let Me Go. Unlike MSP, I did see the pilot trailer for Never Let Me Go when it came out, and I was instantly intrigued. I was so shocked they gave pondphuwin this kind of concept. It was so cool to see them go from something silly and light-hearted like Fish Upon the Sky, to something more serious and dark like this. And that pilot trailer was just so good, guys. I think it set my expectations way too high. I know I said I try not to take those things seriously, but it was too good not to. Unfortunately, the series we ended up getting disappointed me a little bit. I started off liking the series, and around the middle, when they went to the island, I started liking it even more. Despite the island episodes feeling disconnected from the core plot, it made for romantic scenes I enjoyed. By the end though, it kinda tipped off. so this one ended up being around more of a mid-tier show for me, but I still like it a decent amount. I like the characters, especially Palm. I am so fascinated by Palm's mind and life, and I wish we spent more time exploring him as a person. We got enough. I mean, he's a main character, but I still didn't get as much of him as I wanted. A lot of people had a problem with Palm running away in the finale. I did too, but not because Palm did that. I was just unsatisfied with how quickly and cleanly it was resolved. It was too rushed for me. Palm's insecurities were shown throughout the whole series, but I don't like that it exploded and was resolved in the span of one episode. His internal struggle going from Noon's bodyguard to his boyfriend, or even just to his friend. Palm had such a hard time calling him Noon all the way till the end, and I loved that detail. It really showed how seriously the caretaker role was drilled into him, and how hard it is for him to come out of it. But I still feel like Palm being so uncomfortable with himself and not feeling equal to Noon could have been executed better, because it is such a good storyline. Palm's character has so much depth, but at the same time I don't feel like it was explored as much as it should have. That's why you can find reviews upset with him as a character. It just felt like there was still room to go a little bit deeper. I felt that way about a lot of the story arcs in this series. There was a little bit of something missing, like Chopper's dad. It was all very predictable. I read fan theories that were more interesting. Him being the villain makes sense. It was just so obvious from day one that I thought there was going to be some bigger plot twist. Then there just wasn't. It was fine but underwhelming. The series was supposed to be a commentary on social class discrimination, about the problems of the elite and the struggles of the less fortunate. I was so looking forward to really delving into these topics, and the series just never went all the way there. It did a little but not enough for what I wanted to get out of it. The show took itself too seriously while somehow not being serious enough. The fight scenes and dramatics in the show ended up making me laugh more than anything, and I don't think I was supposed to be laughing. There is non-stop plot holes and normally I would be able to look past that, but there is only so much of my suspense I can disbelieve. To my surprise, one of my favorite aspects of Never Let Me Go was Chopper. I didn't even know Perth was gonna be in this until Pond posted this picture on Twitter. I had low expectations for him, only because I felt like GMMTV was trying to shoehorn Perth Chapman into the story, just to expose the audience to their pairing. And that was what Ben Chopper was giving, to be honest. There was not enough development in that storyline to make me feel anything for them as a couple. It felt very forced. But Ben and Chopper as characters separately were interesting, especially Chopper. Perth suits this kind of concept really well. He is a very good actor. He brought so much to this series. Overall, I found Never Let Me Go fine. Unfortunately not as fantastic as it could have been, which was disappointing. The locations are gorgeous, you have a pretty good cast of actors, and a story full of potential, but it wasn't enough for me. Not my favorite BLGMM put out this year, but definitely something I liked. I could see myself missing these characters and rewatching. Remember how I described episode 8 of My School President as warm? Moonlight Chicken's entire vibe is that warmth. From the story itself to the color grading. I know Tale loved this. It's such a grounded and realistic series. I won't lie, I had little to no interest in Moonlight Chicken before I fell in love with My School President. Then I was counting down the days to see Heartleaming. So yes, I am one of the people who think Heartleaming was the best part of Moonlight Chicken. However, they were not the only great thing about MLC. The series as a whole was actually way better than I anticipated. This was stunning. I wish it had more episodes. I know it's the longest of the Midnight series projects, but this story was so excellent. I would have loved to have stayed with these characters for a full 12 episodes. But I have to give them credit. They gave us more in just 8 episodes than most shows can do in 12 plus. Moonlight Chicken really understood its main character. They introduce us to Jim in episode 1 through a TV interview. He's this giving, bright, beloved restaurant owner, and with each episode and scene that follows, that starts to unravel a little. We start to see him as a real person with flaws and struggles. We are right alongside when getting to know him better. We join his journey of opening up to love again. It is so well done. I love how different his dynamics with each character is. Everyone views Jim differently. It makes his character come across as a real person. I loved the portrayal of differences between older and younger perspectives, and how they learned from each other. So refreshing to see. Every time Jim and Li Ming spoke to each other, they each made points. They have nuanced conversations. The show doesn't firmly say which side is right or wrong. They just exist. It's real. I have to give a shout out to this just fantastic line from Jim.
แค่เกิดมาจนมึงลำบากไม่พอใช่ไหมวะยังเสือกจะเป็นเกย์อีก
I've had many a laugh this year over that line. Jim would have lost his mind if he met us y'all. Poor, gay, BL fans. Oh my. Next I want to talk about each of the couples. Jim and Win have a very intriguing dynamic, both struggling with their emotional baggage, while trying to form a relationship with each other. The progression of their relationship was done well for the most part. They had some moments I personally found a little boring and slow. Points where their relationship was kind of stagnant. Since we only had 8 episodes, that was a little disappointing. For that reason, Jim and Wen are not my favorite couple from Moonlight Chicken, despite being the main characters. But while being slow burn, Jim Wen still has so much to offer. There is a lot of character growth packed into these two characters. There is much to learn here. My heart Li Ming. They contrast the other 3 couples so well. They bring a more youthful love to the series, of course. I don't even know what to tell you. Everything about Heart Li Ming was absolutely stunning. I'm so in love with them. They are the epitome of heartwarming. Li Ming's journey to communicate with Heart was so lovely to watch. I am always weary of non-disabled actors playing disabled characters, but there is only so much I can expect from GMMTV. As far as I've seen people from the community say, they did a good job, and I like the show's choice to not subtitle the dialogue. I learned a lot from researching the signs used. Heart and Li Ming's story is just so romantic and pure yet deep at the same time. There is so much chemistry between them. Every scene they had added a lot to the episode. They make me so happy. Saling and Prey were so nice as well. The series touched on important discussions regarding pregnancy through them. Sometimes it felt as if that was all they were there for. I wish we could have seen a little more from them outside of the pregnancy, just to make them feel like more well-rounded characters. But again, with so little episodes, I understand why it was the way it was. Alan and Guy Pa were adorable. They are similar to Ben and Chopper from Never Let Me Go. It was kind of forced, but I don't care. It works for them. It was a short series, so everything felt a little rushed anyways. It just worked here.
Telling us the story of how you first met?
At the bank.
At the bank. What happened at the bank?
Making a deposit and he was working in the bank.
Yeah. He kept coming to the bank asking for me. And then I finally said, alright, let's have dinner.
And I would have been upset if my sweet Guy Pa didn't have some form of happy ending. It didn't need to be a relationship necessarily, but I'm happy as long as he's happy. Anyone of any age can watch this series, and I think it will mean something to you at a different point in your life. Moonlight Chicken is truly so beautiful. In my last video, I said I don't like anything Pinu puts out anymore. I thought I was going to have to take that back. A Boss and a Babe started off so good, and it stayed pretty good the whole time honestly, but I personally did lose interest towards the end. And one particular thing about this show bothered me, the way Tian's story was handled. I am so sick of these shows, particularly Pinu Productions, putting the 1 or 2 women in the series through trauma for no real reason. You can include these types of topics, but only if you are going to handle them with care and responsibility. But a lot of these BLs use these storylines as a prop. It's like it's thrown in just to add more dramatics. Tian, Tube, the stepfather, the mother. All of it was wrapped up way too quickly and easily. So was Gun's family issues. They had so many great scenes throughout the show where Gun talks about growing up gay, and how horribly his family treated him. Then they end with his mother coming around and being supportive. I wish they fleshed that plotline out more. There was room to develop the growth in their relationship, but the show just didn't do anything to show us the in-between. I saw people say they were glad a Boss and a Babe didn't go too deep with these plots. because the show was overall fluffy and cute, and it would have made them enjoy the series less. I understand that perspective to an extent, because Gun and Shay's romance was the best thing about the show for me. Them, Threezo, and the found family friend group were what I genuinely loved. That's why I was able to enjoy the series. But I disagree with that opinion. If you are going to introduce topics as serious as abuse, you need to follow through and do it with empathy. It's like the outline for a good story is there, but they forgot to fill it in. This happens, that happens, and that's it. A Boss and a Babe handled the trauma better than something like Star in my mind. And you know, I guess we gotta start somewhere. The bar is below hell, so. Anyway, I feel bad because there were actually really good parts of A Boss and a Babe, and I adore Force and Book so much. I want them to have another main role so bad. I enjoyed this one more than Enchante, so hopefully they get an even better show next time. I desperately need more people to watch this with me, because Be My Favorite is crazy good. Right now, it's top 3 GMMBLs of the year for me. It can definitely move around in my ranking, since they're still pumping out BLs, and this show's not even over yet. It could end horribly, but oh my god, Be My Favorite is actually being my favorite right now. Who would have thought? I had no expectations. If anything, I went into episode 1 with negativity. Literally the only reason I wanted to watch was Garwin. He finally has a main role. How could I not tune in? I didn't expect to love this like I do. The writing is actually incredible. It shocks me every episode. The only complaint I have is Max not getting enough. I really want to see more of him as a person, not only when it's relevant to him helping Kawi or Bisang. I know that's a lot to ask when the episodes are so short. I was spoiled with My School President. I expect hour-long episodes now, but I actually like that it's not too long. The pacing is fantastic. They managed to fit so much into an episode, yet it never feels like too much or too rushed. It's kinda perfect. Be My Favorite is scarily relatable in multiple ways. The overall theme of wondering what life would be like if you could go back and do things differently. We've all thought that before. Unfortunately, Kawi is one of the most painfully relatable characters I've ever resonated with. Why is he me? I facepalm at the decisions he's making, but then I'm like twin, I get it. I love how the series allows Kawi to be flawed. Everyone calls him out. He does self-reflection, and he genuinely apologizes. Be My Favorite pulls off having an unlikable main character because it is self-aware. It knows the story it's trying to tell, so I can never be truly mad at Kawi. Probably the main thing that made me fall so hard for this series is its ability to show queer narratives beyond a love story. I haven't seen many BLs really dive into what it's like navigating being queer, the social isolation a lot of us feel as we discover ourselves, etc. Normally, I dislike drunk tubs in BL, drunk kisses, drunk confessions. Anything while under the influence always feels icky, but with Kawi, it's more purposeful. I still don't love it, but the series' use of alcohol is something to analyze here. Kawi becoming an alcoholic as he's suppressing his feelings for Bisang, his true feelings only coming out when he's drunk. The writing gives you a lot to think about after each episode. Be My Favorite is so realistic while having a fun fantastical time travel element. Of course I'm obsessed. The Warp Effect is the only non-BL GMMTV show I've seen this year so far. I've watched a couple episodes of some other ones, but The Warp Effect is the only one I finished. It is so freaking good. Run to the Warp Effect playlist and start watching. Even if you've already seen it, there's no harm in a rewatch. The series deserves all the attention it can get. So jam-packed with topics and plot lines that have the writer's full attention. The Warp Effect is so educational and empowering while also being incredibly funny. This is what I was talking about when I said handle serious topics with respect. The Warp Effect understood exactly how to do that while still having tons of light-hearted and heartwarming moments. Oh, it's excellent. To tie this back to BL somewhat, Nui in this role single-handedly made me excited for their Cherry Magic remake. I put Thai Cherry Magic as my least anticipated GMM 2023 BL. Mainly because they didn't have a pilot trailer at the time, and because I am not a fan of remakes in general, especially of this series. The original Cherry Magic is so good, I didn't care to see anyone else redo it. and I did not think Tainu was the best pairing to take on these roles. But, Nui did such a good job with the silly comedy in the warp effect. It's a side of him I've never seen, since I've only seen him in Waterboy and the Kiss trilogy. They just dropped the pilot trailer as I'm writing this. It looks so good. I'm excited for it now. Apologies to Tainu for not seeing the vision. The My School President section is so long compared to the others. Sorry. This video started off as a My School President review in January and has evolved into this collective GMMTV review. That's why that section is so detailed. It's also my favorite, so I had way more to say. Anyways, that's all for today. Let me know what you think of this year's GMMTV releases and what GMMBL you're most looking forward to in the second half of the year. It's definitely Last Twilight for me. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye my loves.